What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Jedi Jive. My name is Mike. Joining us again is my sister Jenny.
Glad to be back, guys.
Jenny's super sad you weren't here last week. I'm sure everyone else was too, because last week's episode of Andor was really good, and I think we would have had a really good discussion.
We would have. It's sad.
But that's okay. It was the conclusion to the Prison Break arc last week. The Prison Break in general was a little bit slow and predictable in terms of it didn't do anything new thematically. But it was really interesting to watch, and then some of the stories going on the side are still extremely interesting in their own right. And then there was an even new storyline that got initiated, which was that this character Lonnie, who is in the ISB, is a mole working for Luthen, and was like trying to like tell Luthen that he wanted out, and Luthen's response was a very epic and poetic, like, nope, you can't.
Yeah.
So I thought that was extremely interesting, and that guy just shot to the top of like interesting characters that you weren't expecting to be interesting. So yeah, we didn't get to have a discussion last week, but we'll
talk about it after this one.
Yeah. Let's jump into the episode, guys, and you can see from the thumbnail alone and the title that it says Daughter of Ferrix. Like, we're going back to Ferrix. It's pretty much been set up that way since the beginning. That's how we started in the beginning of the season, and now we're gonna end up here. So. My prediction last week was that Marva and Bix are both going to die, although I don't think that's... I mean, that could go either way. I think maybe the actress for Bix is supposed to be. So maybe she won't die. I could be wrong, but...
Marva is old and ailing and also kind of in hot water now, so there are multiple things going against her.
And it seemed reasonable to me that in order to get Cassian to where he is in Rogue One, that he has to go through some shit right now in order to and his mother dying seems like an appropriate way for that to for us to get there. So anyway, there's one more episode after this one, so this isn't going to be like a major conclusion right now, but we're kind of getting to the end, so I'm expecting some juicy stuff. All right, let's do it, guys.
I can't feel my hands.
Very Millennium Falcon shaped ship.
They're leaving.
Oh my goodness. That almost looks like an abandoned mine.
I was just gonna say that.
I can't.
Or quarry.
Yeah.
You hear me? I hear you. My hands won't work. They're leaving.
Ooh. The cliffs of insanity.
Okay. She would have wanted it that way.
Oh, she's already dead. Oh, so we don't get Fiona Shaw again.
Take her out in a minute if you want to say goodbye.
Hello, and
Oh.
I want Marva.
Oh. Is the like, memory core of this droid? Are they going to use it to build K2SO? Maybe.
The daughters of Ferrix require your assistance in matters of grave importance.
We need to pull together, B.
Droid depression. It's real.
So it seems that she maybe died of natural causes.
Yeah. Well, she was already sick and dying. Yeah.
She was old and not in good shape.
And refusing to be taken care of.
It happens.
Someone you know?
Just started last week.
Like a Star Wars coffee shop.
Hello. What is it?
It's a quadjumper.
That one's garbage!
I knew that.
I don't know. It's an old one.
What if there's someone else in there? We get out here. I know I feel it.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
We want a funeral. You're going to give them a permit. Keep it small. Limit the time, limit the numbers. We want to put them in a box, stand back and watch.
The dead are bricked. They mix your ashes with mortar and local stone dust, put your name on and fire it up. You become a block of Ferrix brick.
Noisy.
It's a weird, like almost organic looking net.
Killed our water then, here.
What?
Not much squiggly now. Water spoil here and far. All your scubbing prisons.
Just yet again, a planet where the Empire came in and ruined everything.
Always
Common
the
story.
Empire, here. Harder than anything. Stop the Empire. They not be killing ye, nay today. Where ye be looking to run now, eh?
Niamos?
Oh, Niamos.
Well, these guys are giving him a ride?
Yeah.
Basically.
They're like, F the Empire, where you headed, buddies?
Everything you're doing right now is wrong.
Tomorrow is too late. Where is he?
I have a constant blur of plates spinning and knives on the floor and needy, panicked faces at the window, of which you are but one of many. What information? I'll make sure he knows where it came from.
Cassian Andor. The mother died.
Why do I now have the suspicion that Clea is a mole in the opposite direction?
I'll let him know.
Do that.
Big man's on site. I want full coverage, spotters front and back.
You could stay. One night.
Anto Krieger.
Is this the man you introduced to Cassian Andor?
Safe in the knot, in the binding, the old ways teach us.
Seriously, is that really happening?
We did it.
You did it.
It's back. You're not following the trends. It's weird.
Okay, so her daughter is doing that stuff. The husband is gonna like the betrothal to Davos Golden
he's
idea.
open-minded on this topic. It's her. It's Lita.
No, she just said it's not the dad, it's Lita
Lita's
herself.
gonna be into it
yeah.
too. But...
I can't believe this.
She found the Elder.
Don't tell me you're taking proposals.
I'm in so much trouble, Val. I went to Luthen. I told him that I needed help from the outside, that I need the risk.
Take Olma. How much is missing?
400,000.
And they're looking into this when?
Soon. Very soon.
Doesn't Vel have her own share of those like millions
That's
of
what
credits?
I was just thinking.
Yeah. Give her the money, Vel.
This can't be exposed.
I know that. I found a solution.
There you are. What are you doing here?
Well, come back to see you.
I'm well. How are you?
I was nearly as tall as me.
But if Lita likes the cultural stuff from Chandrilla or whatever, then
she
this
might
shouldn't be as bad of a
be
thing.
into it.
Yeah. I
We'll
mean, like,
see
it's
what
more like
happens.
Mon just hating the guy.
The guy.
Yeah.
Look at her hair.
Yes! Moana 1! Still here!
Just speak clearly.
Indeed! Been a bit rugged for me lately, but, you know...
You were talking about Andor.
Yeah, she's passed away!
Andor's mother? Are you saying that he's there?
No, I'm in Moana!
Where is Andor?
He might show up at the funeral.
We need to speak further.
Oh, he stowed something in his place on Niamos.
It's all credits and yeah.
Tyranny
It's like his
required.
little espionage briefcase. Passports and shit. Oh, it's just like a person staying in the hotel sleeping,
Yeah.
and then he just had to break into the room. Okay. Okay, we're gonna get some more Saw Gerrera. Yeah. Cool X-Wings.
You think it's worth losing Krieger?
I did. I'm not sure right now.
What if it was me?
Know me. I'm not vulnerable if he's captured. He can't hurt me.
Like I can.
It's your decision, Saw. Do we let Krieger go down and play the long game? Or do we warn him and throw away a source that's taken years to cultivate?
There's someone with Krieger? Someone at ISB? Maybe there's someone here.
It's Tubes.
Kiesa Chico. Putuka.
It's my man. He tells me everything.
What kind of game is this?
Sly motherfucker.
I'm doing this so you listen. So listen. Krieger goes down. The ISB will feel invincible. We'll have a clear field to play. Krieger pulls out, we wave him off. They'll know they'll have to wonder. If I were ISB Saw, why wouldn't I just send you out there with him? I didn't want you to have to make this choice.
30 men.
Plus Krieger.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
Stealing mom's credit card for the night. Basically.
Market.
You need to think of the consequences of losing that piece to another collector.
I'm preparing for every outcome.
It's amazing, the coded language.
I know, yeah. Wow.
Patrol, please identify yourself, Hallcraft.
I need an active transponder ID. Preference Alderaan.
Huh.
Stand by for transponder scan.
Yes, this is Alderaan 129-12505.
Stand by, Hallcraft.
Alderaan Hallcraft, please disengage any propulsion units and prepare for tractor beacon.
I have an engine overheating here, so it may take a moment. Sorry, Patrol. I'm a one-man show here. I have to manual these stabilizers.
Oh.
What is that?
From a Hallcraft? Where's my air wing?
Go, go, go. Cool. It took their own guy out. What?
Base calibration complete.
That's one we haven't seen before. You're fired.
Cassian?
Don't. No names. Tell Marva I'm okay. Tell her I'm thinking about her.
No, he doesn't know.
Cass, I'm sorry. Your mother's dead.
Payphones.
How many do you think made it? How many of us made it out alive? One of us has to make it. People have to know what's going on.
Like I said, we know they get back together because he's in Rogue One. At the end of the episode. I wasn't expecting Marva to be already dead at the beginning of the episode. I thought maybe we were going to get Fiona Shaw one more time.
I thought so too.
Let her close it out.
I'm
with
actually
a
a little
monologue
surprised
or
that not only that we didn't see her again, but that she seems to have died of natural causes. Which, I mean, isn't surprising in and of itself, but it's maybe a little surprising in terms of story. Like, you were predicting the Empire was going to take her out, and that was going to be powerful motivation for Cassian.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to find his motivation elsewhere. I think he was radicalized to a significant degree by his experience in prison. He kept repeating that line about he'd rather go down taking them out than, like, doing what they want.
Which was the philosophy that Luthen gave him to begin with. Yeah.
So he's absorbed little pieces of people's philosophies along the way, whether it's Luthen's philosophy or was it Nemec with the manifesto.
Yes.
And he's had a few little experiences along the way that have definitely sunk in.
Yep.
But I think this whole the gross injustice of this prison experience has really taught him a thing or two and radicalized him in a big way.
Yeah, I don't know. Although now that Marva is dead, and that was his primary reason for even going back there, I'm assuming now that means Bix is going to be really the only thing that's going to draw him back there now. Right? Because, like, wouldn't he want to stay away?
I guess. I don't know, maybe he is going to try to go back there for the funeral.
So, like, okay, so he does want to go for the funeral.
This was really beautiful. They told this story about the Ferrix custom of bricking.
Yes.
Turning a person into a brick. And it's interesting that that's what they came up with, because we commented in the first couple of episodes on the very unique sort of urban industrial architecture of Ferrix, how it was a very different environment in the Star Wars universe than what we've seen before. And in that particular landscape, making somebody a brick is really natural, is really making them a part of that atmosphere, of that landscape, you know?
Yeah.
It's sort of you're part of the actual architecture.
Yeah, but that also to me ties into like a common theme that we see a lot, not just in this show, but also in Star Wars in general, which is, I mean, you've mentioned the Empire being colonizers in general, but if you think about Aldhani, is another example of just like showing the Chandrillan thing with there's a lot of all these planets have
customs,
all these customs from different planets that people
And yet again today we had these little sort of Narkinian toad people who were really funny. They were some comic relief in the middle of this episode.
Costumes,
some cool practical costumes. They helped Cassian and Melshi out of a jam.
Yep.
But they were grumbling about the colonizers. They were like, they came in here, they spoiled all our water.
And you mentioned it. It was like
the reason they helped them was because it was like, stick it to the Empire.
Yeah, the Tuscans in Tatooine. We've seen Aldhani. We've seen all of these examples of like the Empire coming in and colonizing and stealing resources and taking people away from their customs.
Not to mention Cassian's home planet, what they did over there, so.
Which ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, is really important because it's, it all ties back in with Mon Mothma and like the galaxy in general waking up to the oppressiveness of the Empire, because at first there's the whole, people are like, oh, this is good. It's order. It's, the Empire is bringing order to
or
the
else
galaxy.
Just going along to get along.
Yeah, exactly. But now the more cultures that get infiltrated, that these people start waking up and hating the Empire too. They join the rebellion.
Well, we're seeing it in a big way on Ferrix right now, where the Empire had left them alone, had left them to sort of the corporate devices for the longest time, and now the Empire is coming in and clamping down really, really fast. So it really is. I keep thinking of Vichy France, but it really is this like occupation. This military occupation that has swept in and just, clamped down with an iron grip, like really, really quickly. And we've already seen that there are people there fighting back. Marva herself was like, I'm going to do whatever small thing I can to resist. And we see these seeds of resistance like springing up all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
I thought that the Luthen and Saw Gerrera scene was particularly interesting, because we've been talking a lot about the like subtext in a lot of the scenes, not just the Mon Mothma scenes, but there's a lot of these scenes, with Clea in the antiquities shop, and like everybody's speaking in code.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying one thing and meaning another thing, and it's up to us to kind of like translate what they're saying. But with Saw Gerrera and Luthen, that was fascinating to me because they're like at the height of espionage, at like the height of secrecy and untrustworthiness. And Luthen was just like extra honest with him, just to like, the ball is in your court, the choice is yours. But it was just very interesting to be where like Saw, it's just like the situation is so untrustworthy that it's trustworthy.
Right.
As in, like, he speaks between the lines so much that here...
It's kind of a what choice do you have but to trust me at this point.
And I said that the same way with Mon Mothma in the last scene with the last episode with Davos Gulden, where it was very, like, at a certain point, the speaking between the lines gets so direct that they're not even speaking between the lines anymore.
Yeah.
They're still speaking in code, but they're doing it, like, right out in
what
the...
I found
I'm speaking in
most
code
interesting
right now.
about that Luthen and Saw scene was that, they're having this conversation about how ultimately Anto Krieger and his men are disposable. in the name of the greater
And
good.
he convinced Saw.
And he convinced Saw of that, even though they have their
Different
political
philosophies.
differences.
Yeah.
But what's really fascinating about that is that he decided Saw is not disposable. He
Mhm.
came here to warn him because they need Saw, and Luthen knows it.
Yep.
So he decided to give him the upper hand, basically.
Although here they said 30 men, and when he was talking to Lonnie, it was 50 men. So I don't know if he was being completely straight with Saw. Like maybe he like underestimated the number of men that,
I did not notice
he's
but
gonna be
okay.
sacrificing. We didn't see the Lonnie guy again in this episode, but they mentioned him in that scene where he was like, "Oh, either
You
you're
must
ISB
be
or you're protecting somebody."
yeah.
And I really liked that scene from the previous episode with Lonnie because it did show Luthen actually did kind of care about him. Because usually Luthen is just like so cold and calculated, and like you can't picture him like actually like caring about anybody. He did make it kind of clear that like he does think about Lonnie, that it's somebody that's worth protecting to him.
Yeah.
And convincing Saw here to be for the greater good. That's huge.
Yeah.
And then I guess we did get the another brief Mon Mothma scene. Where she was opening up to Vel and letting her know the whole situation. And at this point, she's basically admitted, like, I've already done the illegal thing, and now I have to cover it up, and I'm in trouble. So Mon Mothma isn't a criminal, but she's already done enough to put her in legal hot water. And we were mentioning, it was like, well, wait a minute, didn't Vel get her own enormous cut of this Aldani take? Like, wouldn't she be able
Couldn't
to just
she solve the problem?
give her
I had that
400,000
same
credits?
reaction, but maybe it's not that simple. Maybe she handed everything over to
Luthen. Yeah, maybe they can't spend any money
Who
yet.
knows?
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
they
like,
can't use those credits because they're marked or something. Who knows?
yeah, if you think about like Goodfellas,
But,
where it's like, don't spend the money. Like after
yeah.
you steal it, don't buy the fur
Just
coat,
don't
don't
go
buy the
yeah,
car.
Exactly.
Like it's all traceable. Yeah.
This was really interesting. The thing of her daughter joining this fundamentalist group of young
I loved how you're
people.
like, it's like she's part of the Young Republicans or something.
They're
like
literally like a little fundamentalist sect, but they're all teenagers. And Vel was saying, is this Perrin's doing, the husband? And she said, no, surprisingly, no. This is all her. This is all Lita. She's the one who's into it.
Yeah.
So maybe she'd be kind of into the idea of this arranged marriage.
To
Who
what
knows?
degree? I said that when I was here by myself in the last episode, where it was like, well, because the Davos Golden guy mentioned that Mon Mothma's husband, he was acquainted with him, and Mon Mothma was like, yeah, I don't doubt it.
Not
like,
surprised.
Yeah, my husband hangs out with shadier people than I do. And then I was like, it kind of makes sense then that maybe like her husband would be like all in favor of the daughter. And it has seemed up until this point that the daughter and the husband are more sort of
on the same team.
Yes, exactly. Like she likes her dad more than her mom.
Yeah.
And that, like, to what degree then is she actually into this culture, or is she just kind of like sticking it to her mom because her mom hates it? It's just trying
the proof
to
will be in the pudding of what happens with this potential arranged marriage. So we're gonna have to see what the upshot is of that.
And it was also interesting to see how Vel, like when she came in, Vel was like immediately disgusted seeing Leia doing that. Like, oh, she's doing that stuff. Like, so Vel's Shinjolin too, and like was able to like reject those customs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. More fascinating, just perspective, seeing all of the different ways that people view things, and that like it's not just about like trustworthiness and like who's trustworthy and who is. Because I also mentioned like Clea in the antiquity shop, where I was like, like for all of the mention of like everybody, you can't let information out. Nobody's trustworthy. Like it wouldn't be impossible for Clea to be giving information in the opposite direction. Because there were a couple scenes there where it was like, kind of framing her like maybe she. Like they didn't.
I didn't quite pick up that same vibe, but it's entirely possible.
Because at this point, like all of the like undercover has been in the other direction. We haven't seen anybody that's be doing that. I think that would be an interesting little twist, because Clea seemed like so on Luthen's side up until this point, and you wouldn't be expecting. So
something I was thinking a lot about both this week and during this episode was how many different people Cassian has been, even in the course of this show. We've seen him be Casa, the young boy.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him be Clem. We've seen him be Keith Gergo.
Yeah.
And now it's time for him to come into his own and be Cassian Andor. But I think part of the, aside from like the necessity of taking on aliases, part of the thing of him being all this different people is that he hasn't really known his own mission. He hasn't really realized his full purpose yet. That's what this whole season is doing, is leading him to that, to his like fate, his true purpose in this universe, right? And he's going to have to become his whole self now, and sort of amalgamate all these different identities that he's taken on into himself. So I think this is the time when we're really going to see him do that, when we're really going to see him come into his own and become the apotheosis of himself.
Yeah, and then the last little puzzle piece that was, again, just another little snippet, kind of like brief scenes, was Karn again. We got a little bit more Karn, kind of skirting around his mother, stealing what, like I said, it looks like he's taking his mom's credit card for the night, so that he could escape, and because now he wants to be the one that catches Andor. He wants to be the, Dedra Meero already told him to stay the F away. Don't get into this business or I'll have you arrested. So it's that important to him to clear his name, vindicate himself.
Yeah.
That he's gonna steal money from his mom and potentially.
Right. And he's got a lot of different people after him for a lot of different reasons at this point. There's, technically he's still an escaped prisoner on the run from the prison authorities. He's got Dedra and the ISB and, the entire mechanism of the Empire after him. He's got Karn after him for personal reasons. He's got Vel and Cinta after him because they were told to go after him. There are a lot of different people converging on Ferrix for this beautiful funeral that's about to take place. And Cassian's
also
at the center of all of
that
it.
one fat guy that was like the colonel or whatever that
Musk,
called him, that guy's there too. And he's, still... He wanted to forward the information to Karn. So Karn is potentially very dangerous because we've seen him in this, clumsy, stupid light up until now where it's just this poor guy is just such a loser.
But it's deeply, deeply personal for him at this point. This is like a mission.
Yeah, you look at Dedra Karn and you're like, crap, she's so dangerous. she can do some damage. You don't think of Karn as being that dangerous, but I think that's why he is dangerous, because of his obsessiveness and determination, and his motivation is clear. He just wants to catch Andor at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. He could potentially be way more dangerous than he's been made out to be.
I agree.
Yeah. And he could potentially even be one of the main villains of the next season because of that. If he is successful on Ferrix, if they, obviously they're not going to catch Andor. He's not going to go back to prison again. We're not going to have another
that
prison.
would be really boring.
But I'm assuming there's a season 2, we have, it's not just going to be some smooth sailing, yay, the bad guys lose at the end of the next episode. We already know the bad guys win in terms of the overall story.
The big picture at this point in time, yeah.
So really what we're just mostly concerned with is getting Cassian to that point of okay, now he's one of the main undercover players in the rebellion.
Yeah.
I don't know whether Stellan Skarsgård and Luthen is supposed to be in season 2 or not.
I'm not sure.
It's one of those things where it's we could probably go and look on IMDb or whatever and see if they're the cast.
Yeah.
What the cast is for season 2. That kind of lets you know who does and doesn't die, I guess.
Yeah.
Not necessarily though, because you can have flashbacks and other scenes.
We also might see the introduction of more people who are in season 2. We might see the introduction of more people from Rogue One.
Yeah, that's also something else that I was
part of that story.
Gonna mention. Where I'm cool with this and I like it. It can go either way for me, but we have one episode left in the season and we haven't had any major character cameos.
Yeah.
Or we haven't.
I would count Saw Gerrera as a major.
Sure, yeah. I guess he
cameo.
counts. But technically, he's in Rogue One and is part of this particular. I guess technically Darth Vader's in one too, but that's kind of what I mean. Like a Darth Vader or a Grand Moff Tarkin,
main canon character type.
Somebody
thing.
where it would be a WoW cameo or Emperor Palpatine.
Right,
anything
Palps.
Yeah, it would be interesting to get a quick little Palpatine scene in the Senate or something with Mon Mothma.
Well, what's cool about this is that it's not only an origin story for Cassian as a member of the rebellion, it's also kind of an origin story for the rebellion.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing them come from this, what you were saying, top espionage, sort of rugged, disorganized crew of, scrappy guerrilla individuals into this sort of massive galaxy-wide resistance movement that's coordinated and has some resources, and we're seeing the birth of that right now. So it's really an origin story for the rebellion as well.
Yeah, and there was a brief scene with Bix too. I forgot to mention, and she's obviously screwed up.
Yeah,
big time. although she's still alive. Like I said, I think I saw the actress supposed to be that, and Cassian can come back for the funeral. Hopefully, the winning scenario in the next episode is him getting out of there with Bix alive, so that they can with him.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Although, once again, a lot of these characters we're seeing, including Luthen, Vel, Bix, all of these characters, except Melshi.
Don't make it to Rogue One that we know of. Yeah, Melshi is there.
So it's like, on the surface, you can kind of assume, like, most of these characters...
Everyone's gonna die.
They're all gonna die, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm loving it, and I can't wait to see the finale. It's gonna
me too.
It's gonna be fun, and we really, we've worked up a good scenario here where everything's ready to go. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, guys. Let us know what you thought about this episode in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Fully unedited reactions are over on patreon.com/JediJive. Go consider supporting us. We appreciate it when you do. Thank you very much. See you in the next reaction.
Peace.
Bye.